Okay, so I'm going to be using kind of a unique, simplified drop D flat tuning here. Instead of doing every string and dropping it down, from kind of a drop D and then everything a half step further, I'm going to try to keep it as simple, deviating from a standard tuning to where we just drop one string, the low string. All right, so we're going to take that low E, drop it down to the D flat or C sharp, and about three half steps or 1.5 whole steps. And like I said, every other string, keep it the same. Just trying to simplify this and get it as easily accessible as possible. So we'd end up with our D flat, A, D, G, B, E. Right? And it'll kind of make for like our power chords and stuff, it'll make kind of like more of a just G chord shape. All right, so just be kind of offset one instead of just barring. So not a huge deal. There is one chord that gets a little bit tricky, not gonna lie. The initial progression here, pretty straightforward though. If you're cool with your bar chords, you're ready to rock. Okay, so we'll want this E flat or D sharp chord. Okay, so we'll be at 2nd fret on the low D flat here, and then we want the 1 on the A and the D, and then we want this 3 on the G and the B string here. Major 7, no 3. And basically with this one, you kind of want to hit like the bass notes of it, like the low 3 strings, the 2, 1, 1, and then we kind of hit the full chord, like the bottom parts of the chord. Alright, and then we just take that exact shape there, and then we zoom it up to the A flat, major 7, no 3rd, so it's 7 on the D flat there, 6 on the A and D, and then 8s on the G and B. It's that same shape just up here. And with this one, we kind of give it a hit, and then we just start shuffling through it, alternating just, maybe about 8 times or so. Okay, so we went. Alright, so that's kind of like the overall main riff happening there for the verse 2. If you want to hit that little, pickup note, it's just a bend on the 5 of the G. Alright, and that'll get us in kind of like the full-blown version of the riff. Once we start getting into, the everything's in, there's a lead part that comes over the top of it. And it starts with this bend at 5 of the G, and you want the 3B under it, so just bend to the same note, a D note there. Alright, and we hit that, give it a little release, and then we want to hit the 3 on the G, and then slide it to 5. Okay, repeat that, and the endings of these little lead lines kind of alternate. Initially, we just do the 3 to 5 slide, do the whole thing again. Alright, but here we just stay on the 3, hit it again. Okay, do it the first time again. Slide 3 to 5. Alright, and then we finish by doing B string slide 6 to 8, hit it a couple more times. Alright, and then there's one subtle little difference the second run through, on the whole second run through. Do our same kind of initial bend, 3 to 5. Alright, and then we do it again. We hit the 3G. Instead of just staying at the 3, we come off and we do open G1, open G1, a little like couple hammer-ons. Okay, just a subtle little different thing that happens in the second run through, and then we finish it the same way. Okay, same deal. Into the verse, the chords are the same, but we get a different little arpeggiation over the top of it. We're kind of picking through this, what looks like a D shape, but now we're just a fret higher, so we got the 3 G, 4B, 3E, and we kind of come upwards through it. So hit the 3E, 4B, 3G, and then go 5G. Repeat that 3 times, and then we do the 3E, 4B, 3G, and then just open G. And then you can do a little, at the end of that, a couple open Gs, 1 open. Something like that. All right, and that whole thing will just kind of loop through the verse, and then eventually we get to this maybe pre-chorus section you might call, but this is kind of where like this shape makes for a bit of a tricky chord. We want an F7 sus2, so if you don't like it here, you can find another voicing of S sus2, maybe like a higher something. But if you want to try to include the power chord with it, you know, if you're just one guitar trying to do it all, if you have two guitars, you can have someone do the power chord and then you just kind of do the high stuff. So that'll make it easier. But if you're trying to do the whole thing, it might be a little bit trickier because it's a lot of like pinky ring switching stuff going on here. Start with the F power chord there. So we're 4 on the D flat, 3 on the A and D. All right. But then we want this 5G, 4B, and then we're going to want a 3 on a high E. So basically we're just going to need to like bar, you know, from the A string down on the 3rd fret. And then, you know, this kind of interesting pinky 5, ring 4, and then we'll have the 3 on the high E barred along with the 3 on the A and D there with the index. And then the middle is going to do the 4 up top. So real funky chord. Kind of a, gotta really make sure you try to get every note clear. My problem is I end up, you know, trying to grab it so hard that I make a note like sharp up here, you know. It can be kind of a pain, but it's the chord you want. And so basically you want to hit the low part of it and then pick through the high stuff where we go, you know, 5G, 4B, 5G, then the 3E, 4B, 5G, 4B. So it'd be like, all right. And you want to do that a couple times. And then basically we just take that shape up to our previous chord that we've done, the A flat major 7. And then here's kind of another issue where we want to flip, you know, like that. I guess if you wanted to just keep him like this and keep the pinky up top and ring on the bottom there, because we'll have our, you know, 7 D flat, 6 on the A and D, and then the 8s on the G and B. I kind of default to just the normal way I do it. It's a little easier for me. Alright, but if you want to try to just keep the pinky on top because it makes it easier for it to switch back, because we're going to need to go back and forth between these chords, you can do that too. And it's the same deal. You hit the low power chord of it, the 7 with the 6s, and then you pick through now our basic original shape, the sus2 kind of thing, or the major 7 thing, where we go 8s on the D, or sorry, the G, B, and then the 6 on the high E. And you pick the high stuff just like we did down here. And then just back to the previous chord. Okay, so definitely would take some practice getting used to those shapes. But like I said, if you split it up with 2 guitars, they can do the low stuff and you can just kind of like do the high stuff. Or you can just find other voicings for those, you know, the F7 sus2 or the A flat major 7 no 3, up to you. But here's the next section where we actually need to take advantage of this D flat tuning, and it's just these really kind of quick D flat, low D flat hits. So if that's not a huge issue to you, you can just do drop D on all this stuff. And then just, you know, everything I'm showing you on the D flat string, just subtract 1 from that. So that's another option you can take if you don't really care about like these quick little D flat notes. But if you want them, here they are. You do an open low D flat, and we're basically going to hammer that onto a 2 of the D flat string back into our D major 7 no 3 chord, the 2 1s on the A and D, 3 on the G and B. And it's just kind of like you hammer it on, hit the power chord, and then strum through that chord, shuffle through it, like hit it, couple, 3. Alright, and then we just finish it by hitting another D flat, and I throw in the A octave with it, the 4 on the A, and that's just kind of like a beat right there. Alright, so little options there with that one, and then other than that, there's just kind of a lead line that will happen over that pre-chorus section, and it's just kind of doing some trem picking on the G string here, and you start at 8, so we're just hitting that, just doing some trem picking, holding that for, you know, a few counts, walk it down to 7, same deal, down to 3, to 5, right, and then you can go through that a few times, and then it just finishes at 6 on the high E. And other than that, it's a lot of the same parts, and you should be all set.